Good morning, everyone. I hope all of you are doing good, staying home and staying safe, I'm sure. Today I'll be delivering third lecture of English literature and we'll do second chapter of Moby Dick. Before starting off with today's lecture, I would like to applaud all my students who are putting in lots of effort to be active part of virtual learning. I know this is something which is pretty much new to you and you are going through a very tough time, but I really appreciate you all for coping up with this difficult situation. I believe all this is going to get over soon and all of you will experience the classroom environment once again. Inshallah. Though all of you are trying your best, but there are some students who are actively participating and sending in their assignments on regular basis. These students are Meerab Junaid, Alize Tanveer, Sayyida Aisha Gilani, Tayyaba Noor, Safana Gilani, Muhammad Abdullah, Muhammad Salar Adil Minhas, and Muhammad Momin. Good job, guys, and these students will also be awarded for their hard work once they get back to school. So, bravo to all of you. Before starting off with chapter 2, I'll recall the previous chapter. In the previous chapter, we read that Ishmael wanted to go on a whaling trip. For this purpose, he went to New Bedford. There, he met Queequeg, the harpooner. They became good friends and they decided to go on a whaling trip together. So now let's start chapter number 2. What happened next? On Monday morning, Queequeg and Ishmael caught first ferry to Nantucket. So they went to Nantucket and they arrived there in the early evening. They stayed there at the inn and the name of the inn was the Tripods Inn. They rented a room there, they stayed there, and there Queequeg and Ishmael discussed about their further plans of the whaling trip. Queequeg told Ishmael that Ishmael would go to look for a whaling ship. Ishmael got shocked and worried and he told Queequeg that he knew nothing about the whaling business. How could he go and look for the ship? But Queequeg told Ishmael that actually this was told to Queequeg by his idol Yojo, the wooden figure that he used to carry all the time. So Ishmael finally agreed and he went to harbor next morning. Harbor is actually the parking area of the ship. So Ishmael went there and he started looking, for ships here and there, and he found three ships there. These three ships were the Pequod, the Devil Dem, and the Titbit. So out of these three ships, Ishmael chose Pequod. The Pequod was about 50 years old ship and it was made up of dark brown wood. What happened next? Ishmael went into the ship and he saw a man named Peleg, who was the co-owner of the Pequod. Peleg was the co-owner and Bildad was the owner of the ship. So he went there and he talked to Peleg and he told Peleg that he wanted to go on a whaling trip, and not only he, his friend Queequeg also wanted to go on a whaling trip on this specific ship. Peleg asked Ishmael that whether he was knowing anything about the whaling. Ishmael said no to it, and then Peleg told Ishmael about the captain of the ship, whose name was Ahab. He told Ishmael that Ahab is a good man of about 60 years old. He is intelligent and well educated, an excellent sailor, but moody and bad tempered. Moody and bad tempered is furious and angry man. And he also told Ishmael that Captain Ahab has lost his leg to the infamous whale named Moby Dick. Infamous is actually something which is famous for something bad. So actually Moby Dick was famous for something bad that he did. So Peleg told Ishmael that Captain Ahab has lost his leg to the Moby Dick. Actually, Peleg was telling all this to Ishmael to warn him about, his whaling journey on this particular ship, and he wanted him, Peleg wanted Ishmael to not to go on this ship. But Ishmael did not care about that, and he said that he was determined to go on this ship. He went to the room and he talked to Queequeg about this. Next morning, Queequeg and Ishmael both came to the ship. They talked to the owner and the co-owner of the ship. Their salaries were discussed and they were determined. And they were also told that the Pequod will leave Nantucket on the Christmas morning. So this was the reason that they went back. When they were going back, they met a strange looking man on the ship who warned them about Ahab's temperament, who told them that Ahab, the captain of the ship, was a very dangerous man. But they, Ishmael and Queequeg, they did not care. They were, very curious about going on a whaling trip, and they thought that Pequod was the right choice. So they went to their room, they stayed there for a night, and early morning on Christmas Day, they boarded on the Pequod. When they came here, there was nobody on the ship. The crew members were not there because they were so curious, and they were so interested that they boarded on the ship very early. So by the sunrise, Pequod was noisy, and crew members were carrying boxes and unpacking their things. So by the sunrise, the Pequod was full of the crew members, and there was noise all over the ship. They were actually they were unloading and they were unpacking their things. The crew members were unpacking and unloading their things, and they were making noise on the ship. And Queequeg and Ishmael asked someone about Captain Ahab, and they were told that Captain Ahab was there on the ship, but he was taking some rest in his cabin. Then finally the anchor was pulled up. Anchor, all of you must be knowing the meaning of the anchor because I discussed this in detail in my previous lecture. So you must be knowing. So it was this heavy, weight anchor was pulled up, and Pequod was set off across the icy ocean. It means that it was so cold and the weather was of winter. So that's it. This is the end of the chapter 2. We did the summary, and now we will do the difficult words meanings. First word is hearty. Hearty means large and satisfying. We read in this chapter that when Ishmael and Queequeg arrived Nantucket, they had a hearty meal at the inn. So it means that they had large and satisfying meal. Stew is actually a meal which is made up of cooking meat and vegetable in liquid. You can call this soup also. Idol is a statue or anything worshipped by people. Like Yojo was the idol of the Queequeg, and he used to carry this idol all the time. Harbor, both the spellings are right. Harbor is actually a part of water along the shore. Shore is the bank, the beach, which is deep enough for anchoring a ship, usually half enclosed. So usually this area is half covered or half enclosed so that ship can safely be parked there. It means that harbor is actually the parking area for the ships in the sea. Next is considerably. Considerably means greatly, very much, to a large extent. Tiller. Here you can see in this picture that tiller is a handle which is attached to rudder. Rudder is actually used to control the movement of the ship. Ivory means a hard cream colored substance that formed the tusk of elephants or some other animals. Committed to. When you are committed to something, it means that you will definitely do that thing or you will go for that. Next is curious. When you are curious about something, it means that you are interested to know about that thing. Asset is useful, helpful or valuable thing. Determined is when you are firmed to do something, right? When you have decided to do that specific thing at any cost. It means that you are determined. Obsessed with is when you are all the time thinking about some particular thing and all the time that thing is on your mind, when you are hooked to that specific thing. Boarded is when you enter into a ship, a train or a plane. Set off is to start or to begin anything. Okay, so these are the words that you will not write in your neat notebooks, right? I told you in my previous lecture to make a booklet and name it word bank or vocabulary bank. So it would be a spare booklet or it would be a spare notebook in which you will write the words meaning only, and you will also use these words in your daily conversation. Then you will never forget these words or you will never forget the meaning of these words. Okay, so we are done with this, and here I want to add another thing, and that is that in our first term we'll do chapter number 1 to chapter number 5 of Moby Dick. So for our first term syllabus we will cover the 5 chapter of Moby Dick that we will complete in this time period. Okay, so we are done with this chapter. I hope you get the whole of the lecture clearly. Okay, so take care of yourself. Thank you.